Welcome to the first lesson of how hackers actually think. In this course, we're going to dive into the mind of an attacker to understand how they think, plan, and execute their attacks. We're starting with phishing, the number one attack vector in cybersecurity. By the end of this lesson, you'll understand exactly why phishing works so well. It's not because of sophisticated technology that phishing is extraordinarily effective. It's because it exploits human psychology. You can have the most advanced firewall, the best antivirus software, and military-grade encryption, but none of that matters if an attacker can convince you to hand over your password. Phishing bypasses all technical security controls and targets the human element. According to industry research, over 90% of successful cyber attacks start with a phishing email. This is a human problem, not a technical one. Attackers study human behavior and exploit specific emotional triggers that make people act without thinking. Let's talk about 5 of those emotional triggers. Authority. We're conditioned to obey authority figures. At least a lot of us are. When an email appears to come from your boss, IT support, the IRS, or your bank, you might instinctively want to comply. Attackers impersonate authority figures constantly. Urgency. When we feel rushed, critical thinking shuts down. Phishing emails use urgent language. Your account will be closed in 24 hours. Immediate action required. The urgency creates a fear response that often overrides judgment. Fear. Phishing emails threaten negative consequences. Your account will be locked. You'll lose money. You'll face legal action. Fear drives immediate action, which is exactly what attackers want. Curiosity. Humans are naturally curious. Attackers exploit this with mysterious subject lines. Is this you in this video? You have a voice message. Someone is trying to access your account. And finally, trust. We're social creatures who often want to trust others. We don't want to believe every email is a threat. Attackers exploit this natural inclination by making messages look legitimate. Phishing also exploits cognitive biases. The mental shortcuts our brains use to make quick decisions are our cognitive biases. There's confirmation bias, authority bias, and urgency effect. For confirmation bias, if an email aligns with something you're expecting, you're more likely to trust it. Waiting for a package? That shipping notification looks legitimate. Tax season? That IRS email makes sense. Attackers time their campaigns around these expectations. Fake shipping notifications during holidays, fake tax documents in April, password reset emails after breach announcements. For authority bias, our tendency to trust people or organizations in position of power without questioning them is the authority bias. An email from Microsoft security team or your bank fraud department often gets accepted at face value. And the urgency effect is our tendency to prioritize tasks that feel time sensitive, even when they're not important. That 24-hour deadline, it's designed to prevent you from verifying whether or not the email is legitimate. Falling for phishing is not about intelligence or technical knowledge. Cybersecurity professionals and educated executives fall for sophisticated phishing attacks. This happens because these attacks target human nature, not knowledge. When you're juggling multiple priorities, stressed, distracted, or tired, your guard drops. Attackers launch campaigns during high-stress periods, Friday afternoons when people are rushing, or during organizational changes when everyone expects new communications. We all have cognitive limitations. We cannot scrutinize every email with maximum skepticism, or we never get anything done. We develop patterns and habits, and those patterns are what attackers exploit. Kevin Mitnick, one of the most famous social engineers and hackers in history, wrote in his book The Art of Deception, "The human side of computer security is easily exploited and constantly overlooked. Companies spend millions of dollars on firewalls and secure access devices, and it's money wasted because none of those measures address the weakest link in the security chain, the people who use, administer, and operate computer systems." Mitnick spent years demonstrating that the greatest vulnerability in any security system is not the technology, it's the human being. Phishing attacks prove this principle every day. We are the weakest link, but by understanding how these attacks work and recognizing the psychological manipulation manipulation tactics, we can become the strongest defense. You've probably been given lists of warning signs. Check for spelling errors. Look at the sender's email address. Hover over links before clicking. Those tips are right, but sophisticated attackers know about them too. Sometimes they will ensure their emails don't have spelling errors. Sometimes they'll use domains that look nearly identical to legitimate ones. They might create landing pages that are pixel-perfect copies of real login screens. Understanding the psychology is more valuable than memorizing rules. When you understand that an email is trying to create urgency, authority, or fear, you can recognize the manipulation even when all technical details look perfect. When you understand cognitive biases, you can catch yourself falling into mental traps. You can pause and ask, why am I feeling rushed? Why am I suddenly afraid? Is this emotional response being manufactured to get me to act without thinking? Successful phishing campaigns are not random. They are carefully planned operations. Before sending a single email, the attackers often do research, studying their targets, identifying what messages will be most convincing, testing different subject lines and emotional appeals. They prepare infrastructure to receive stolen credentials, and they create backup plans. This is calculated, strategic, and psychology weaponized for criminal purposes. That level of planning is why generic security advice often fails. In the upcoming lessons in this section, we'll talk more about the phishing attack lifecycle. We'll see how attackers choose their targets, craft convincing messages, deliver those messages while evading security systems, and maximize their success once victims take the bait. This foundational lesson establishes the core principle. Phishing works because it exploits human psychology, not technical vulnerabilities. The next time you receive an email that makes you feel urgent, afraid, or pressured to act quickly, pause. Ask yourself, is this email trying to manipulate my emotions? That moment of pause, that conscious recognition of potential manipulation, is your first line of defense. It gives your rational mind time to catch up with your emotional response. Remember, legitimate organizations almost never create artificial urgency around security issues. Your bank will not threaten to close your account in 24 hours. Microsoft will not demand you click a link immediately. And the IRS will not email you threatening legal action. If an email is trying to rush you, that is your red flag. Not because it has spelling errors or a suspicious link, but because urgency itself is a manipulation tactic.